Guys, okay, so we're inside right now because it is raining, but we just got finished. That's our B, which is a Sequence 20A, and this is my mother and father-in-law's B, which is a Winnebago Winnebago. Can't remember the first part. It's a 59K though. I do remember the numbers. So they have a Winnebago. It's 59K and it is on AGM batteries. It's a 2019 build. So I think the chassis is a year younger, year older, whatever it is. So we're going to help them upgrade to lithium. So if you were here a couple months ago, we took our B and we went from 200 amp hours of lithium batteries up to 1200. They don't need that much. They're not boondocking like we are, where we only really boondock. They do a lot of little, like 1 or 2 days boondocking, and then they'll go to a park for a few days, which is great. Everybody has their camping style, and that's what I love about these Bs, is it can accommodate anybody. So we have a handy dandy diagram here. I'd like to take credit for this, but this is not mine. We got this off of a Winnebago site on Facebook, a forum. Someone created this. So I will post a link to this PDF download where we got it, and then I will also go over it. But basically, they have underneath their van, they have 2 AGM batteries. They have a bus bar, which is in a little black box. That's what this refers to it as. Makes me think of like an airplane. So they have a black box, which is where all of their components are going to. And then inside they have all of the individual components: an inverter, converter, transfer switch, 12 volts. They have solar, all of those things. They did upgrade their solar a while back, so they do have, I think, 3 panels on top. So we're going to move everything over to Victron that we can, and we're going to leave what we don't need to change. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. That's our method. If you were here when we did RB, we did China batteries. So the plan was to get Battleborn or Epic, one of the ones that are US based. But then we noticed when we were looking at the price, so we reached out to Kepworth, which is a company based in China for batteries. We have been rocking those for 3 months now, I think. And we just got off of a 6-week trip where we did predominantly boondocking or core parks. And they have worked phenomenal. So we've reached out to Kepworth again. They did not give us the batteries. They did do $100 off, which they are going to run that exact same promo for everybody on Amazon. So check that out when you have time. So we're going to put in 2 300 amp hour lithium batteries from Kepworth underneath. We're not going to put any inside like we did ours this time. We're just going to go underneath. And then we are going to put in the Victron MultiPlus for a 30 amp unit. So we have everything on the table. So we've got 2-aught battery cables. We've got a 30 amp wire for the shore power, the light, because this rain is killing us. We've got a bunch of fuses. So this would go in the Lynx distributor. That's the one thing we're not sure if we're going to need or not. We've also got battery shunts, solar monitor. Basically, we've got all of the pieces you would do in a full solar setup, a full battery upgrade. The plan is only to use what we need. According to this diagram, the only thing we need is the battery monitor, the battery disconnect, battery cable, and the 30 amp shore cable. If that's the case, we have a whole lot to return, which is okay. But if not, we will change out some of those other things as well. But again, here's an image. Here's what that... And this is the... Oh, it's the Travato. So it's a Travato 59K. And the goal is to make sure that everything runs on battery power so that they can run their fan all night. They have the microwave convection oven, so they can cook in that if they need to. Running the heat. One thing that they have a hard time doing right now is running their heater. And when we travel north, it gets very cold. So that's what we're up to. I will take you along as we do the upgrade. But keep in mind, I'm not going to necessarily do a how-to video because I don't know how to do it. So what we will do is we will show you what we do. And what my favorite part of our channel is we're going to show you all the screw ups and how we overcame those. Because, you know, we're going to hit a snag here and there. It happens quite often. So what I will do is I will make sure that you guys are there when we run into something different, when we hit a snafu, when we have a problem, we have to fix something. That way you guys can see. And if you have a 59K, we can answer any questions that we have answers to. So just ask. And if you have a 20A made by Thor, I can definitely answer your questions on that one, because we have ripped it apart twice and put it back together and done so many different upgrades. So of the batteries, and this is how we knew what size. This is where they're located and what cords are going where. Let me see if I can zoom in for you guys. So this is fuse holders, all of those things, which cables go where. This down here is underneath one of the beds. I believe this is the 12 volt side, but I might be wrong. Yeah, because this is the circuit breaker, what's going where. Most of this we will not touch, but we need to know where everything is so we don't make any crazy mistakes. And then this is, so we're not using Battleborn batteries, but like I said, this is a document we pulled off online, and we're using this as a reference point. But this is the we're the Travato 57 is what we're working on. This is the lithium upgrade. No, we're not the 57. I think we're the K, 59K. But, so these are the house batteries, the wiring diagrams. These are the new batteries. These are the new components, the new transfer switch, and all of this over here is the existing. So this is the new items we're putting in, and this is the existing side. There will be a few things eliminated, but actually not that many. So we'll go over that once we get in the B. So we have the planning phase, we have the organizational phase, and then we have the actual work phase. All right, so while the batteries are coming down and the covers coming off the black box, we've got all of the parts set on this little table, including a light because it's kind of dark in there. So we've got battery cables, which we've got the additional heads. We're going to work on cutting those into the correct size, which I'll let you know those sizes soon. An inline fuse, the shunt from Victron, a bunch of individual fuses. That's the battery disconnect switch. And then the MultiPlus is actually inside the rig already. This is the heat shrink wrap. So we're just cutting back the rubber, putting the heat shrink on.
We're gonna need a longer bolt on this one.
Maybe. It's a pretty snug fit. That's good though. Okay. Heat shrink's on. I'm gonna put in the end cap. I wanna make sure they're kind of facing the right way. I mean, these do twist, but I want it to be as close as possible. Now the heat shrink is down towards the bottom. We're gonna leave that there. I have this very handy dandy crimping tool for these large ones. So I'm going to do my best to get that in here, and then make sure all of my wires stay on. And then, if you're angry, this is the job for you, because we're going to take the hammer and we're going to literally go to town. So they make really expensive versions of these. This is a cheaper version by Amazing, probably China, from Amazon, but it's just a hammer one. I will link this below just in case, but it's crimped. I am going to flip it over just for good measure and do the other side. Just make sure that's positioned the right way, and then just go to town. So there you have it, and then we will push up the shrink wrap and heat it, and it should be good. Okay, so we are under the B. So this is the black box that we were referencing. This is basically your bus bar or your links distributor. This is where everything's going. So we just want to make sure we're tracing these wires to the correct place. And so when we go to switch everything to the MultiPlus, nothing's missing. My head is stuck. Okay, so there are the current coach batteries. They're two 100 amp hour AGMs, and we're using them with two 300 amp hour lithium-ion batteries from Kepworth. So the only issue is that the batteries have handles on the sides, so we do have to cut those down. If you haven't seen that reel from the our 20A, that's hilarious. So go check that out. I'll leave it below as well. It's like 10 seconds. Guys, so remember, this is not a how-to video. This is a what we're finding video. And if you have this same rig, it may or may not be the same, but I'm gonna let my father-in-law take it away and explain what we just found.
All right, so we got multiple positive cables coming into this battery. We obviously have one that's jumpering out and going to the driver's side battery. We have 3 other inputs coming onto the cable, or the terminal. We have one that's coming back from, it looks like the black box. So we're gonna track that down. It does feed toward the black box, but you want to make sure it hits the black box because it could be something else. And it actually is this cable up here. So it does go into the black box, so we're good with that. So we're going to go ahead and label these out. And then there's one also here that goes up to, looks like to be a trickle charger relay. And then we'll come back. Another red one here too. This one goes over the battery.
Oh no, is that the generator?
Don't know till we drop the battery.
Okay.
But you wouldn't know that unless you opened it up, which I can see, and I can move it, and it's moving pretty freely, so it's still going back. It's not tied into here where like these are stiff. So, all right, so this is our black box, we'll call it.
So if you missed it earlier, the black box is essentially a bus bar. It's also got like a solenoid. I'll show you. So that's the black box that we're referring to. It goes, basically the batteries are feeding into that. There's solenoid and then the 12 volt. Then it's going into the coach. Until we realized what it was, we called it the mystery box. It had a mystery line of wires going to it. That's why we're tracing everything out. And we will be back once these are all labeled.
All right, we're going to take that better. But that'll do now until we drop it, in case it hits the chassis maybe. Okay, so now we're going to pull the battery down. So now we're just going to drop the battery. Let it tilt. Try to get it away from the contortion bar. And let the battery come down on its own. Like that. Not as bad if you don't jack it up. Could be worse.
Yeah, so for reference, we did not jack the van up. She is firmly planted on the ground, and that was so the batteries didn't have so far to come down. Work smarter, not harder. And then also because if something bumped it and it were to come off the jack with people underneath, that would be very unsafe. So we just felt better by not jacking it up.
Okay, so now we've completely wrapped up the cable, the jumper cable for the positive, so that we don't have any arcing issues. And we've got all these other cables labeled now. We do have one here that goes up into the chassis, which we think goes to the inverter, which we will verify that and make sure. Okay. All right, let's get that out of the way and we'll go. Okay, so we've added a smart shunt in, and we've taken the chassis ground wire, the ZAMP wire for the solar, and the inverter wire coming down from the chassis up in the B, and put it to the system side of the smart shunt. Then we're going to add another cable here to the other side and run it to the battery. It actually is labeled system and battery, and then it will actually attach to the top of the negative pole on the battery itself along with the jumper cable. And then this will actually sit up here on top of the battery strapped in, and that'll be it. I'll show you.
Okay, so that black with the little bit of red on it, that is the new wire, and that is to the battery minus. And the top of the smart shunt tells you which one is system and which one goes to minus.
Now, something to keep in mind, you don't want to over tighten these, you just want to make them snug. Over tightening these can strip out the insides of these, so just make them snug. There we go.
And then we'll probably zip tie that up to something to secure it, so it's not just hanging there. We don't want anything to happen to it.
And we'll put the clamps back on when we're done.
Yeah, and the clamps will go back up, which we'll show you guys all that. But for now, we're going to put the phone down because putting batteries into these little boxes is a two-person job, and I cannot film and assist. Okay, so the batteries underneath they have the new Kepworth lithium batteries in. So now what we're going to do is everything in the B is currently functioning. However, we don't have the ability to run the microwave. So we're going to fix that by adding the Victron MultiPlus. So right now we're taking... And she's a short, chubby one. She's not like the 50 amp where they're like big all over. She's actually really short and chubby, which is kind of cute for these bees and kind of matches their style. So we're going to take out the inverter and replace it with the MultiPlus. What else do we take out, Mr. Cameraman?
We're going to take out the output of that transfer switch.
Okay. We will also add in a battery disconnect switch, I think potentially, and maybe an inline fuse are all potentials, but I don't think we're going to need the inline fuse because we put the full-on bus bar down there. So we're going to get to it. But we didn't put that in. That came in.
Where?
Where's your little cup for these? Oh, this one won't fit.
So you got to use that big...
Yeah.
Does that help?
Is this on reverse?
No.
Where's your little cup for screws?
Up there on the counter.
Okay.
I'll go behind you. That's probably not a good idea.
All right, so we are back. So we could not really film putting in these wires here, only because there were it was all hands. So basically what we have going is the very first black cable at the top. It's got the white, black, and green wire. That goes from the transfer switch into the MultiPlus. And then that's the 30 amp cable. That's second orange wire is the output for the 30 amp. That goes out over to your breaker box. And then here we have the black is our negative. The orange and red is our positive. Those battery cables are coming directly from under the coach in. And then there is a ground wire down there towards the very bottom on the right hand side. So that is all in. And as you can see, we have our green light on, our on off switch right there in the middle under the barcode. And everything is now able to be powered. So our lights are on, the microwave's working. Our next step is to just take this box out now. We're gonna just ground off the wires, but this is now not needed. So we will keep you guys posted how everything goes. Now, if you have the 59K, you know that the bed here comes out and then the long part. It's in two wood sections. On these heads, especially on this side, we are going to put hydraulic hinges on it so that you can easily lift it up and down for when you have to store it for the winter or long periods of time, just so you're not draining your battery. And on this side, this will come out. So we're going to create an entire storage space on a hydraulic hinge so that you are going to gain, I would say, 2 like sneaker shoe boxes will fit in there. So that's a pretty good amount of storage you're going to gain by doing this. Hey guys, okay, so we have just finished testing the Travato 59K lithium battery upgrade, and I've got my notes so I don't get this wrong. So we did not end up needing to install a new battery cutoff switch on the outside of the bed that we intended to cut off to put in. We actually ended up tying into the existing one near the door, so that was great. The other thing that we weren't quite sure on was the 12 volt system. So if you turn off the MultiPlus, the whole 12 volt system still works as normal, which is great. That's what we wanted, but we weren't sure if the way we wired it would work or not, but it does. So that is a plus on our side. Now, a couple of things we had to get. We had to get the Victron MK3 adapter, I believe is what it's called. And this allowed us to do a lot of the changes behind the scenes. We were able to move from AGM to lithium. We had to use that also to change the frequency on the generator to ensure that it could work and function properly and charge the batteries even with the MultiPlus in the sequence. We also added a Bluetooth dongle, so that way we can find the MultiPlus in the app and we can turn it on and off. We can also see the batteries. I would say that is the most convenient, especially where these are located under the beds, where you would have to pick the bed up, move the bed, everything, and you know, we don't want to do all the things. Okay, so let's go into how it's working. So just to go over what we did, we went from 200 amps of AGM batteries up to 600 amps of lithium-ion batteries. The first night it was tested, it was just running the fan and all of the normal 12 volts. So the fridge was on, microwave was on, although we didn't use it, and it went down about 10% using the fan only. And I think the AC, while we've never really had to max it out yet, we've not had any issues. I do think you will get a full night's on the battery with running the AC on low, probably somewhere around 76 at night. The fridge, that's the other big one. So, you know, you plug the B in a couple nights before your trip. You want to make sure the fridge is running and cold and all of that. We've been able to do that with the batteries and not have any worries. So far everything's working really well. I don't have any complaints of how it went. I think it's good. So ask all your questions. I know that the video is not quite how-to, but if you have specific how-to questions, please leave them below and we will answer the best of our abilities.